So, happy Father's Day. My name is Francis Fiske, and I'm putting together this anatomy and physiology alternative medicine video for extra credit for the Dr. Stouter's class. As it stands, I am going to do mine on castor oil. Now, I sat down and thought about it, and I said, you know what? This would be good because my mom used to give me a lot of castor oil when I was a kid. Not the greatest tasting stuff, but it actually has a lot of medical features that can actually help someone who has the issues that castor oil solves. Let's start with what it is. So castor oil by proxy is a vegetable oil. It's pressed from the castor bean, which comes from the castor plant, Ricinus cuminus. As it stands, castor oil is colorless, or it can be a yellow complexion. Now, it actually tastes very bad. Take it from me, it tastes terrible. But it's used a lot because of its relatively high boiling point and its relatively dense objectivity, and it's a triglyceride. Boiling point 313 Celsius, and its density 961 kilograms per meters cubed. You can see how castor oil is a very widely used product for things like soaps, lubricants, hydraulic and brake fluids, dyes, paints, coating, inks, cold-resistant plastics, waxes, polishes, nylons, pharmaceuticals, and perfumes. It normally replaces castoreum as a perfume base, if you didn't know that. The one great thing about castor oil is that it contains a lot of monosaturated fatty acids. The one bad thing about castor oil is that it contains ricin. Ricin, in and of itself, is a highly toxic poison which can kill a human fairly quickly. 24 to 48 hours of ingesting ricin, you can die. Can die, the probability is very high. But if you boil the castor oil or the castor bean, what you do is you negate the ricin. So let's get to the meat and bones of this. Why is castor oil such a great thing for humans? For consumption, at least. Well, you will be surprised to know that castor oil has been approved by the FDA, U.S. FDA, United States Federal Drug Administration, or United States Food and Drug Administration, for being particularly efficient at increasing peristalsis in the intestinal passage. I will read it to you exactly the way it's read. Generally recognized as safe and effective for over-the-counter use as a laxative with its major site of action, the small intestine, where it is digested into ribonucleic acid, or noleic acid, ricinoleic acid. So as you know, you can see why my mom gave me castor oil, because it promotes peristalsis and I won't be constipated. But there's a lot of other key features of castor oil that a lot of people overlook. So let's look at what castor oil used to be used for back in the day. You know, we like to use that term back in the day. So let's go with that. So home remedy that survived for millennia, obviously constipation. Let's go a little further. Dysentery. What is dysentery? Well, as we know, dysentery is a lack of fluids due to diarrhea. It causes diarrhea. So you have a lack of fluids due to dehydration and you die. It actually helps to promote the expulsion of dysentery. Inflammatory bowel disease. It also helps with bladder and vaginal infections and with asthma. The way we know this is it's always been used throughout the millennia, and you can see the trends anthropologically in the societies that actually take or ingest castor oil and see what they do not typically suffer from. But let's go a little further. Let's go into the modern uses of castor oil. You don't really, castor oil is more of an alternative medicine. It's more of a medicine that's not necessarily on the market. That's something that may be promoted for, heart disease or, insulin reduction. But let's just go on a limb here and find out, where is castor oil actually used, as it is not a traditional pharmaceutical medicine that is synthesized by most pharmacies. You'd be surprised. Castor oil in and of itself is used as a gastrointestinal remedy still, to help with small intestine peristalsis, large intestine peristalsis, as well as cleaning out the colon. It's also used as an antimicrobial. A lot of people don't realize this, but castor oil has antioxidant properties which promote antifungal, antimicrobial, and antibacterial modes of action. Another key to castor oil is labor stimulation. So, you get, as with my ex-wife, hey, it's about 9 months, I'm tired of this baby, it's time to get her out. So you do all kinds of stuff. You walk, you have sex, you eat certain things. No one goes, hey, you know what, you should take some castor oil. But it's been proven that castor oil can promote labor stimulation if the time's right. It's an anti-inflammatory, which is by far a very important factor for athletes or people who promote a lot of manual labor, as you learned in class, tendonitis, inflammation of the tendons, or all the other itises that can promote an egregious amount of issues for people who actually perform a lot of manual labor. You can find that inflammation is an issue. Anti-inflammatory drugs are on the market to help that. But of the anti-inflammatory drugs, which ones don't have an adverse side effects if you take too much of it? You have ibuprofen, anti-inflammatory. You have the, all of them, which for the most part hurt your liver, hurt your kidneys, hurt something in the endocrine system or anything within that digestive endocrine system that can really just mess you up. Castor oil doesn't promote that problem. Now, obviously, the ricin is an issue. Castor oil needs to be boiled first before it's ingested by humans. But other than that, it's a natural remedy that can actually help you through those issues. But more than that, the most important part that really pushes castor oil into a whole nother stratosphere than all these other herbal remedies is the immune system and lymphatic support that it provides. The oil's benefit, and I'm reading this verbatim, the oil's benefit can be derived by topical application as it is rich in vitamin E, and it appears to be useful for a variety of skin diseases. I haven't gotten to that as of yet, and I probably won't because I'm more interested in the internal medicine. But one great part about castor oil is that a lot of oncologists, yes, I said it, oncologists, have found that castor oil is extremely efficient at aiding and abetting the growth of cancerous tumors. Let's get into that. That's a little more interesting than, the epidermal layer, right? So let's go into a little more about this cancer research due to castor oil. So therapeutically, let's concentrate on the therapy of it, because you don't want to go out there and tell people drink castor oil and your lung cancer will go away. That's not what you want to do. But what you can say is if you use castor oil in conjunction with, that's a big deal. So, therapeutically, modern drugs are rarely given in pure chemical state because they're toxic. You're basically giving somebody poison. What's the definition of pharmacy? It's basically poison. Pharmakon is the Greek word. But when you go deeper into it, you realize that sometimes you want to give somebody something that might have an adverse effect in other situations, but promotes a positive reaction in the situation that you are in inherently now. So where's castor oil a productive situation? We have a drug called paclitaxel, which is a mitotic inhibitor used in cancer chemotherapy. So based on the class, based on what we've learned, okay, if you can prevent cancer from growing, i.e. spreading, those two things can be the same, can be different. You have single-handedly stopped and given time to those who need the time. There are certain cancers that people just know is terminal, but can you stop it give that person enough chance to try to fight? You have other situations where castor oil legitimately has a positive impact on internal medicinal purposes. You can go into the fact that it helps with immunosuppressants. Because it's a non-immuno inhibitor, it promotes the use of the immune system. When you take an immunosuppressant drug, castor oil can help with ensuring that you don't get these low-lying diseases that can actually take you out. A lot of people don't realize it, but pneumonia is a low-lying disease. It's a low-level disease. It's not a disease that any old person who's got a pretty strong immune system can walk around and get. You typically have to have a weak immune system to get water in your lungs at that level, to where you have to go to the hospital. Another thing castor oil does is they've used castor oil in HIV research, and they found that it can help with HIV protease inhibition, which means, once again, that it helps to reverse what HIV actually does. This goes back talking about why castor oil is important, why it's such an imperative alternative medicine, because you don't just see pharmacies across the globe going, hey, you should just take castor oil. It's really going to help you. No, because they know better. It's not been approved or defined. It caused a lot of malpractice. But if you take castor oil and you merge, fuse, synthesize that with something else, for instance, nelfavir mesylate, it's along with resveratrol and a lot of other HIV inhibiting protease or HIV protease inhibitors that help strengthen the immune system while enabling or inhibiting the HIV from reproducing. It's the same thing that you get with cancer. It's the same thing that you get with any virus or any terminal disease that we can't cure. We don't know how to stop viruses. We know how to try to flush the body of them. We know how to try to get them out. But at the end of the day, you can't necessarily destroy something like that. Just like cancer, the body's fighting itself. How do you stop the body from fighting itself? How do you stop that mutation from spreading? So a lot of people walk past the aisle, the laxative aisle. They see castor oil. They go, a lot easier just to take a selenium pill. They don't realize is the other tertiary effects of some of these well-known medicines that have been around for thousands and thousands of years. I will say that in this brief research that I've done on castor oil, and I just sat down thinking about it, I realized that it's insane the amount of information that people omit when it comes to something so easy, over the counter. You don't have to get a prescription. You don't have to pay a whole lot of money for it. I mean, the average bottle of castor oil is going for $3-4. I could be wrong, but I thought I checked that Target earlier today. It is not something that you have to pay thousands of dollars for, and it can seriously, and that's the word I want to use, assist in literally keeping you alive. Well, either way, that's my anatomy in minutes, and it was on castor oil, and I hope that I was able to impart some information that wasn't known before.